Hey, what's up guys? Steven, a Salon Guy here, and today's video is going to be focused on curly hair. Now, there's a few things about curly hair for women that I want to go over, and men obviously have curly hair too, but this haircut's really focused on women. So if you're a professional watching this, hopefully it will be helpful, but also if you're a regular client, this can be helpful too. Now, I get a lot of people that travel from all over the country to come see me to get, haircuts from me, and one, popular one is my medium length layered haircut. It's a very simple, basic haircut that creates a beautiful shape, and I'm going to apply that to this haircut today on this mannequin that's got curly hair. So there's a few things about curly hair that you ladies that are watching know, and if you're a professional, you need to know this stuff. Curly hair is something that they find very, very they're very connected to their curls and very protective of how their hair is cut. And you can easily botch up someone's hair if it's really, really curly. For example, curly hair, when it's wet, it extends, and then obviously when it dries, it shrinks back up. So the length is gonna jump right up. So if you cut it too short, guess what? It's gonna spring up and it's gonna look twice as short. All right, also layers. Layers are a really, really big thing. And you ladies with curly hair, those layers gotta be right. So if they're not right, the hair isn't going to lay right. It's going to look more of like a triangle, which is interesting. It just needs to be really, really shaped well. There's a few different techniques, cutting techniques, like diva curl is one. I know that really is an interesting haircut. It's designed to really enhance the curl, but it's a very different technique. And the way the hair is cut is also something that really shapes the hair a little bit differently and non-traditionally, because it's removing large chunks of weight to make the curls really spring out. And it's cutting different types of layers and lengths in the hair. So that might work for you and it might not work for you. What I'm going to do today is going to be a very simple, basic haircut shape, which I get lots of comments about from women with curly hair saying, I can't get the right haircut, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to do this haircut and hopefully it'll help you ladies out and professionals as well. So I'm ready to go. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the length. And as I mentioned before, length is pretty important because if you cut this really short here, guess what? It's going to spring up to here when it dries. So you really want to be careful of how much you're going to take off and really have a clear vision of what you want the end result to look like. So we're going to cut this a decent amount where I'd say, we're going to make a pretty significant difference as far as the shape. So this would be kind of more of a medium length layered haircut for curly hair. And the key to not only curly hair, but any haircut is you want to establish the length. And the length is basically going to be the key foundation of this whole haircut. So as you can see through here, you've got the length established, and look how much, see what it does, it springs up like this. So you really, really want to be cautious when you're cutting, knowing that, hey, if I cut this much off, it's going to spring up, and the client could freak, but you really want to have a clear vision in mind. So for the end result. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this whole entire back one length, and when we're done with the back, we'll then move into the sides and the front. The back is done and it's all one length. What we're going to do now is we're going to connect the sides and the front. And this is going to be a pretty simple, basic procedure. What you have to keep in mind now is when we're getting to this area, the face frame, because the face frame is really going to be the deciding factor of how the layers are really going to form its shape. Remember, whatever is seen in front, that's what you're seeing. I mean, that's the first thing that someone sees when they're looking at you is, the front of your hair. So you want to make sure that, it's got the proper shape that's going to complement the face. It's going to complement the entire look overall, So leaving longer layers like this means it's going to be a much kind of softer curl into the front here. Not really a lot of volume, just kind of a nice, soft, natural curl. And what you need to do is angle your fingers up just slightly to create a lower face frame. And we're not really going to go high on this just for this example because I just want to show you what it'll do. So you see how that's sprung up a little bit? Well, fine. That's great. If you want this type of look, if you want like just a slight face frame in through here, then that's how you do it. Just a really low angle coming in through here. But since I want to go a little more, extreme on this and make a bit more of a difference, what we're going to do is we're going to angle our fingers up a little bit higher, which is going to open up the shape coming right in through here. And what that's going to do is, as you can see here, hopefully this is a better angle, right in through here is where we're going to cut. So we're going to angle our fingers upwards more to give it a bit more of an extreme kind of, not super extreme, but a much higher angle, because I really want to open up this face frame here and create some nice shape right into the front. And what I'm doing is I'm standing right in front, I'm pulling the hair forward like this, and I'm cutting. And what I'm doing really is making a really good solid line right in through here. Let's turn this way now, because you want to make sure this whole part right in through here is really, really solid and full. All right, you don't want to make this too thin as far as the layers go. So as you can see, here's the layer, it's springing up already, but it's giving a really, really nice shape right in through here. So what we're going to do on the other side is we're going to cut the side, same exact way that we did on the other side, and we're going to connect the angle the same way, working towards the face. Okay, now we're in the front, and it's time to start cutting upwards, because that is how we're going to create our face frame on this side. So we're going to angle our fingers pointing down this way to the floor, and we're going to cut upwards. So our left elbow is up this way right here. It's up like this. And then what we need to do is stand kind of in front of the mannequin, just to make sure that we're like evenly balanced. So let's pull this all straight down, and we're going to cut. So the best thing to do is to stand right here, pull the hair towards you just to make sure it's even, which it is. They usually call me uneven Steven, but this time I did it right. I was even. And we're going to just snip off any hairs that we see that need to come off. All right, so now we brush this all back, and as you can see, the head shape and the curls are starting to really come together nicely just by us creating that good layer. Now, what happens is a lot of times this is the biggest problem, is it's flat and it's full through here. And I know ladies with curly hair, it's your biggest thing is when it's like this. The big poof ball here, and it looks like a triangle, and it's so flat up here. So now we need to start layering the hair. So now we're going to go into the layering, which is really, really important for this haircut. And what I did is I took a horizontal section right here, and this is really going to determine the entire haircut. This is going to be your guide. All right, this is a key point right here to where everything is going to live from. So this has to be cut properly in order for it to lay really, really nicely and to get that shape. So now keep in mind that you've got, here's the length, and you've got all this into here to work with. Okay, you have all this here to work with. So the length here really is important. So remember, the hair will spring up. You don't want to go too short, but you want it to be enough that's going to make a difference. So we're going to keep our elbow parallel, and we're going to cut straight across. And this is going to be our first section right in through here. You can bring it up one more time just to make sure it's all even. And this is our first section right here. All right, and now we're going to work towards the back. Now this section right here is sprung up quite a bit, which is okay because we're looking to remove weight and we're looking to add a little more bounce to the whole thing. If you don't want to have a lot of layers and a lot of bounce, and you don't want the curl to really, really spring up a lot, then you would leave that piece longer. But just remember, the more length you leave on top, the less it's going to, have that balanced shape. So now we're going to take another section, and we're going to cut straight across horizontally, and then we're done with that section. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Take a slice, horizontal slice right in through here, and we're going to comb it straight up. And as you can see, this is what curly hair does. It creates knots. Comb it straight up. There is the guide from underneath from before, and we're going to cut straight across. Now with curly hair, sometimes you need to go over it just to make sure that you got everything, because sometimes curly hair you might miss a section or you might miss a piece. That's fine, go back over it. So we're gonna comb this down, and now look what's happening already. This hair is starting to spring up and bounce up, which is fine. So now that we've done that, we're now gonna work more on a vertical plane to connect the layers in through the back. And how we're going to do that is we're now going to comb everything straight out from the head this way, and we're going to cut upwards to connect that way. And what we're doing simply is we're rounding the shape out, and we're really just cutting a nice shape that the layers and the curls will really look their best. And there's the length that's dropping out into the bottom, so you don't really want to cut that. And one last piece just to make sure, but all you're really doing is connecting this just to make sure that everything is blended together, because with curly hair, everything has to really work together. And if there's one hair that's out of place or not right, it's going to show. So this is looking good now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this, pulling everything straight out from the head and the back, and then we'll be ready to move into the top. I just want to show you guys the back and what we've done, and the beautiful layers that we've created. As you can see through here, there's really no harsh lines. It's got a beautiful shape to it, and we've got the length, and all this now is beautifully cut and layered so that when you do style it, it's all gonna have this gorgeous, nice, well-rounded shape, which is very, kind of basic and simple, but very effective if you're looking for just a clean, really, really good haircut. So now let's work in through the top area. I've said this in many of my previous haircutting videos that this piece is very important, but this has to connect into this part. So I always, and look, see, here's what we need to cut. There's the piece right there. And how do we do that? Don't take a section right off the bat and cut it straight up like this. Don't do that yet. What you need to do is you need to connect the back in through the top. And the best way that I have found, and I use in a lot of my haircutting techniques, is to simply follow the head shape and connect it going vertically this way first before you take a horizontal section. Because, and I've seen this many, many times, hairstylists will just take a section and they'll cut it, and they're creating a whole new guideline, and it's just not gonna really have a nice flow to it. So by cutting it this way, you don't want to go too deep into the corners either, but by cutting it this way, you're really, really doing the best connection and the best flow for right and through here, because this could be a really, really good area for styling where you're getting fullness. If it's not cut right, it's just not going to lay right either. And trust me, you ladies with curly hair, you know if you got a bad haircut. Trust me. I've heard it many, many times. You'll know if you had a bad haircut. So we're done with this part now. We've connected this. All right, now we're ready to move in through the top. So I'm just going to lower this a little bit. And now is where we can move forward, because we don't have to worry about this back anymore because we've cut that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a horizontal section straight across here. And I apologize if there's any knots or I seem like I'm getting aggressive. It's because the curly hair will knot up. So now we are ready to cut all that. See, all that length right in through here, which is the weight that we need to remove. Let's just comb this one more time, because curly hair has a tendency to want to jump all over the place. So now we've got a clean section. Take a little bit from that as our guide, and we're going to work towards the front. Now, because of our face frame before, there's not a lot of hair that's going to be coming off, and which is a good thing, because it's all going to connect into each other. As you can see here, we'll do probably one more section right here in the front, and then we'll be ready to move into the sides. But right here just should be a little bit of hair coming off, and yes, just a little bit right in the very, very front. That's it. And there we have it. Okay, let's do one more comb to make sure we're good. And now what we're going to do is this whole top panel is done. But now we have to work in through, we still have a lot of work to do. We have to work in through the corners and the sides. And this is where things get a little bit tricky, and you have to really, really pay close attention to what you're doing. So, since we're on a roll here, let's comb the hair straight out from the head this way. I'm standing right behind, and we're just going to cut that little bit of hair right there. Now we're going to drop down into the sides. Keep in mind, you don't want to cut the bottom. The bottom is the length. You never want to cut the length. All you're looking to do with this and for this curly hair is to just connect the shape and make it all flow and work together. All right, you don't want to do anything crazy, anything super fancy. We're keeping this very, very simple for this particular haircut. Next section, we're going to do the same thing. Comb it straight out from the head, and not much is really coming off. Just that little bit right there, and that's totally fine. It's not always about, you know, how much you're cutting off. It's really, you know, what you're leaving on the head and what that hair is doing for the haircut. That's really, really important. Sometimes you don't need to cut a lot of hair, you know. I've done haircuts where I just take hardly anything off, and it ends up being an amazing haircut because I need to just take off just a little bit. So I'm just going to finish this up right here. Now here's where we have a little more hair, right in through here. That's where we have a little more hair right into the very, very front, and we have to make sure it's all kind of connected in. So if you see it and it looks like it doesn't blend, then cut it. Here's the very front hairline, which is important too. Combing it straight out from the head, making sure that we're seeing everything, how it's growing out from the head, the scalp. And then the last piece right here throughout the bottom, just a little bit right there. Now we're done with this side. We're completely done with this side. And we're going to duplicate the same thing on the other side. And then before we talk about styling, there's one last little trick that I'll show you guys. Here's what I'm going to show you guys, a little trick that I like to do, which really just enhances the haircut and makes sure that everything is really connected together. So you're going to comb the hair straight out from the head. Now a lot of people think the hair grows straight up this way, when in fact it really doesn't. The hair doesn't grow straight up. It usually grows more forward like this. All right, like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to comb the hair out this way, and look at all that hair. We're going to cut that because that is excess weight that really makes the hair heavy in the very, very front. So let's round this out this way, and we're going to do that throughout the entire top here just to make sure that we're all even here. All right, there's just a little bit there. Just pull this down this way, extend it a little bit, and we're going to cut just that little bit off right there, which is going to make a big, big difference in the way the whole thing lays. That's good. We're good here. And basically, we're not looking to cut off a lot of hair, but here's the problem. If you do this and you see like huge amount long hair, like big, big chunks of hair that are a lot longer, that means you need to go back and revisit how you cut it. But if you follow these steps, you should be good. And ladies, if you're the client and you're getting your hair cut, maybe just have them do this just so that it puts the extra, effort into the cut to really, for your benefit, so that this front isn't super, super heavy. So now let's take a look at the shape. So the hair is kind of not fully dry, but it's drying definitely. And I like to cut wet into dry just to kind of see how the shape is forming. And what I'll do now is just lightly go back in and re-wet it a little bit just to dampen it and to just kind of prepare it for styling, which is a whole thing. So ladies with curly hair, you know about styling. You know how your hair works best, and everyone has their own technique. Trust me, I've worked on so many women with curly hair. I've had girlfriends with curly hair. They all have their own way of doing their hair. And sometimes you just got to let them do it or let it air dry, which I'm a big fan of letting the hair air dry. But I want to just take a look and show you guys how the shape has formed now compared to before when we first started. So now, look at all that volume. All right, look at from the side here. Look what we did. We created a beautiful shape. Now, if you scrunch it, look at all that height that we have in through here. And honestly, I didn't go in and take out chunks. I didn't, do any sort of razoring or any sort of, curly haircut technique. Honestly, this was a simple, kind of basic, layered shape, following my knowledge of cutting hair, and look at the beautiful result. And this is going to work out great. It's going to grow out great, and hopefully it'll be easy to do. So let's talk about the styling. There's a few different things you can do with styling. I'm going to prep it with my sea salt spray Tidal Wave, which is a great sea salt spray. It's a very light sea salt spray compared to a lot of other ones on the market that are really, really grimy and heavy and like too sea salty. Like, I wanted to make sure this wasn't one of those. So this is an amazing pre-styling spray. And for those of you that use it, I know women that say this is their favorite product, like as far as just letting it dry, air dry with something in it. It has a very kind of light hold, but it really, really does a great job with letting it naturally air dry. So now I'm going to put something in that's going to be more for the finish and the hold. So this is a product that I'm testing that it's taken about 6-7 months to get to me, and now it's here, and it's a gel mousse. So basically you do one pump like that and it comes out looking like a gel, and then you work it into your hands and it actually creates a light kind of mousse consistency, like a really light creamy foam. It smells phenomenal. It's got kiwi, it smells like almost, almond kiwi. And it's a product that I hope to be coming out with after, once I'm finished testing it and everything. I think it's gonna be great. So it gives really, really nice natural hold, great shape, great conditioning. And for curly hair, I like to really just work the product in as best I can and kind of scrunch it and really let it naturally form. All right, I will take a diffuser to it sometimes, but honestly, I just like to scrunch the hair, get all the product in there, and let it air dry naturally so that it has a great shape to it. And as you can see here, I think you'll agree, we did a great job with the haircut, and it looks pretty good. All right, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you're a client, I hope this haircut really helped you guys out. Maybe you can, watch it and you'll know next time when you're getting your haircut whether it's going to be a good one or a bad one. And professionals, fellow professionals, I hope this really helped you guys out. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for more videos with the Salon Guy.